looking aft, and you can see the path of the icebreaker through the shelf ice, and that ice was about 10 to 15 feet thick.
Oh, wow. Huh. Our ship was only capable of going through ice 1 meter thick. So, yeah.
Well, down I don't think it's in this picture, but down at the no, it's not there. Down at the waterline, we had hung a rubber fender that looked like an orange ball.
Uh-huh.
The ship was a ship's fender. My job was to make hourly ice observations, including all the meteorologic information, the location, and the GPS info, and also then the thickness of the ice and the nature of the ice, naming whether it was brash or gray ice or new ice. Any of the several. There are about a dozen different terms to define different kinds of ice. So my job was to make an hourly observation for 12 hours. And enter them into a record, which then became part of the Australian database for ice thickness and ice conditions in the Antarctic that they've been keeping for several years.
Wow. Oh, that's cool. Oh, I went kayaking on a very still day, and so there was sea ice forming. So it was negative 1.8 Celsius.
Yeah.
But actually, the temperature that we had in Antarctica was much warmer than what they had in Buffalo, New York at the same time.
Oh, yeah. Well, when I was there, it was still early in the spring, as I say. In fact, we were at the Mertz Glacier at a different time of year than anyone had ever been there before. And so
oh, really? Wow.
the data that I was collecting for that particular time was unique in the Australian database. But it was the coldest I experienced was 73 degrees below zero, and the coldest I was ever outside the bridge, where I took a walk on deck, was 50 below.
Whoa.
Fahrenheit?
I took a selfie of holding up my hand with 5
Yeah.
fingers for 50 below.
Actually, Fahrenheit and Celsius meet at what, about negative 44? It's
I think it's 34, but
Oh gosh, that's true.
yeah, it's somewhere.
You guys ready to get started?
Yo. Yeah.
All right, got the thumbs up from Callie, so I guess we're good to go. You need to adjust your background, Cal. Oh, you got your Captain America. Did you have your Gumby and Pokey lunchbox out there a minute ago?
That might have been, yeah, that was a Planner's Peanuts.
Oh,
But,
okay.
yeah. Okay. My impeach
All right.
Fauci sticker fell down.
As you guys can see, we're on Zoom tonight. We've for at least for the foreseeable future, we've lost the location at the schools building out there in Goleta. A church has rented it for a period of time while they remodel their church, and they have Friday night services and Saturday and Sunday. And so we're out in the cold. Actually, we're probably warmer here, but they're warmer in our houses. But this is supposed to last for a year, and then maybe we might be able to use it again. So I have got an email from somebody, from Daryl, actually, I think this evening, saying that we might be able to use the conference room at the library. So we're going to have to look into that and see. But
Two different libraries.
I guess Doc's going to give us a geography lesson later. But let's get started here. We always start out with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you guys are ready, let me put my flag up.
There, boy.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it
stands, one
one nation under
under
God,
God, indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and justice for all.
all. All right, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Brian, K6BPM, and I am your host for the meeting this evening. Debbie, are you there? Okay, she's up in my corner here. Callie,
There it is.
you're no audio. No audio, Callie.
That might help. KD6OVS. That's better. Too many mute switches. There's your problem, huh? All right. Well, anyways, I'm still waiting for that. One of these days, I'll get up to Gibraltar and see what's up with 6.7 box. But 0.75 is up, so and so is the 5.56, I guess. Back to net.
They got their generator working?
So what I heard was, yeah, they got the generator working, but there's still some other issues. So I don't know when they're going to get the power back up there.
Yeah, it's I've been watching across the I can see it from here. So they've had a lot of helicopters over there and stuff. Scott, your turn.
Hey, this is Scott, KJ6GMH, up here in Santa Maria. Looking forward to the meeting tonight.
Okay, Doc.
Marina. Huh.
Doc, Whiskey 6 Echo Whiskey. Good evening, everybody. It's been great so far.
Alexandra.
Oh, that's actually me. My name's Thomas. I'm using my girlfriend's computer, so it's shown up as Alexandra, but figured I'd run with it. I'm in Goleta here. I haven't quite got the license for the ham radio, so I don't have the sign, but here to meet y'all.
Well, welcome. I hope we don't scare you away.
No, I was having fun before we introduced ourselves, talking about the penguins yelling at forget his name. That was funny.
Mike, did you get a new boat?
No, not really. I'm ashore today, so that's where we are. Mike, KC6CBB. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Daryl. Oh, I'm sorry, Mike.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Sounds
Oh,
good.
okay, great. Fantastic. Okay, great.
Daryl?
You said Daryl?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And good evening to the group. I'm Daryl, KF6DI, up here in Fort Hills, Montecito. And we had some disastrous stuff occur here a couple of weeks ago in that big storm. Big oak tree fell down, took down all the power lines, the telephone lines, and still working over email with the automated answer machine from the phone company. Oh, it's terrible to work with. Anyway, they're supposed to send a guy out here finally, maybe first of the week, and we'll get our telephone lines back on. Terrible. Hope it doesn't happen to you.
Yeah, it's a lot of that going around.
I'm sure there is.
Let's see, Gene.
Hi, folks. Gene, WB9COY. First license in 1969 in Chicago. I'm in San Diego. I joined the club because my son lives in Santa Barbara now. So I figured I'm in Rome, do as the Romans do. So I joined the club. 3-year membership because that was quite a deal. So I popped for that. So just enjoying the club and hoping Thomas or Alexandria, I guess today, gets his license soon. He's studying. He gets the college answer on every question he asks, but he thinks he's saying it's beneficial. All right, back to you guys.
Okay, let's see, Alan.
Good evening, guys. It's Alan from Santa Ynez. Just got our driveway plowed out after the rain so we can drive our cars again. And winds are blowing pretty good up here tonight, so I probably have the world's biggest metronome again. Glad you guys are doing the meeting. Appreciate not having a drive over the hill. The A60W.
Okay, Larry. Hawaiian
Yeah.
Larry.
Larry, WA6MVJ, and I'm here with Kathy, who's KK6VIG, and we're here in Honolulu, having just attended the Pacific Telecommunications Conference for 5 days, and we're heading tomorrow to Maui. So we're going to miss on Sunday. There's huge waves coming in to the North Shore, and so today they officially announced that it's going to be an Eddie Aikau surfing competition Sunday up at the North Shore, and but we're going to miss it because we're going tomorrow to Maui. So too bad, but that's the way it goes. Okay, back to net control.
What's the forecasted height of the waves?
To make an eddy is under Hawaiian rules is the 40-foot face of the wave. So it's about a 20-foot height and a 40-foot face.
Wow. Okay, Mike, JFB, Mike.
Hey, W0 JFB, how you doing? Mike here. I'm the SWAPnet editor and Cuckoo weather host. And back to you, Ryan.
All right, Ken.
Hey guys, Ken, KA6KEN. Just came back from 2.5 days and about 4 hours total sleep working on a 1/4 megawatt generator that failed on us 2 nights ago. So I'm a little loopy, but Callie, if John needs help on his generator, apparently I'm now a generator expert. So if you can get me up there, I'll help him.
You get a free helicopter ride. Barf
Oh,
bucket
that
too.
sounds fun. Excellent. All right, let's do it.
Did you get it working, Ken?
I did just a couple hours ago. Yeah, I did. Turned out to be a cracked solder joint where a connector attached to a very small printed circuit board that was screwed onto the end of the generator motor, on a cap on the end of the generator motor that runs a LED that pulse width modulates a signal to a photo transistor on the end of on a circuit board, a round circuit board that's on the end of the generator motor that's spinning all the time. And there's a lot of vibration on this circuit board and the connector that goes to the circuit board. The two little, it's just like a little Molex connector kind of with 2 little gold leads that are pushed through the printed circuit board and soldered on the back. It's a single-sided circuit board, and there's nice little rings around each of the pins right where it just cracked away, where the solder cracked. And this thing's 30 years old. We suspect it's actually been cracked for a while, because we've been having some problems a couple of years ago that kind of went away, and we never really were able to reproduce it. But it happened when we had a power outage 2 nights ago at the data center. The whole block went down, and the UPS came up and everything worked great, and everyone went and checked it and thought, everything's good. And we decided we're going to go home. And just as I was leaving, a tenant came out and said, the lights in here are kind of like going up and down and up and down. And I looked and figured it was just SCE goofing around with something, and went to leave again. And then the UPS, I just checked the UPS one more time, and it said input voltage out of tolerance. And I thought, uh-oh, I haven't ever seen that error before. That's not good. That means the generator's doing something bad. Ran into the backyard, looked at the generator, and saw the voltage needle going from 480 volts down to 0, and then back up to 480 volts and down to 0. And then it would stabilize for a few minutes and then go back down again. And I ran back in, looked at the UPS, and it said 40 minutes of battery. And at that point, I called everybody and said, okay, we got to get guys going, renting generators. We got to go get our generator. We got to call the generator tech and, pay them double time since it's after hours, and have them come up from Rancho Cucamonga. I mean, it was all hand. It was the worst. It was one of these things always been afraid of happening one day, and it happened 2 nights ago. And it's one of our worst fears in the world is the generator for some reason not working during a power outage. We test it every couple of weeks, but it decided not to actually fail until we actually had a power outage. Murphy's Law, I guess. Very frustrating. I've had that data center up for 15 years solid. So my 5 nines is probably just lost a 9 last night or the night before.
Wow.
Yeah.
Glad you got it up.
Yeah, I am too, because it would have been a really rotten weekend if I hadn't. I mean, we'd be on pins and needles all weekend, and I'd be still working on it. So I'm very happy that I found that. It was kind of a stroke of luck, but so it's done.
Marina.
Yep. Marina, K6JWL over here in the Franciscan Villas condo complex by off of Hitchcock, and just hope we can have a meeting, find a place we can do our meetings in person sometime soon again.
Yeah, we were doing okay there for a little while. We'll get something figured out.
I think I want to move into those condos if they got a big lagoon like that. That's pretty nice.
Oh yeah, everyone's welcome to swim in our tot lot.
Let's see, Glenn.
Good evening, everybody. This is Glenn, Kilo November 6 Hotel Juliet Whiskey. Not much to add, really. Debbie is back if you want to call her again. And
okay,
all I got.
I'll go back to Debbie.
Hi. This is Debbie Kalo, November 6 India Mike Juliet in Buellton, and sorry I wasn't here at the very beginning. I was on a phone call, and I don't have much to add either for tonight, but I'm here.
So do you and Glenn like go in different rooms and Zoom each other?
No. We're trying not to step on each other's audio right now.
We just stay in different rooms all the time.
Okay, let's see, Wayne.
Howdy, this is Wayne, Alpha Foxtrot 6 Golf X-Ray. Getting ready for a trip up to San Ynez Peak tomorrow morning if we can get through the roads. And try to get our power data logger working, and then Monday looks like we just discovered we got a helicopter out to Diablo, so we'll try to get the link there working so we can get our AIS and ADSB from there working, as well as linking the repeater. So we'll see, got a busy few days here.
Yeah.
Question for Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you need me to come up with you tomorrow?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, we're just going to be cycling power and possibly pulling some stuff if we can't get it to work by cycling power. And if the roads that questionable, we'll turn around, or they may just stop us at Refugio. They say it's closed except for emergency traffic, so we'll see what that means.
Yeah, well, I have the only vehicle that can make it past that, but okay, let me know.
Okay, I see Bill, UUQ there, no face. Are you listening, Bill?
Well, he's not unmuting, I guess.
Yeah, he's.
But he's doing the same thing I am.
He's just gonna listen in. All right, I think that's everybody. Let's see here.
I guess I'm with you now.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. Woke up kind of late here so that I can get up early and 1 o'clock in the morning and start out. We'll be with Wayne and up on the hill there. So we'll give you a report from San Ynez Peak and let you know how the conditions are after we get up there.
Okay.
the residents have access to the road up to the red gate, so, and that's 3 miles from the site. So that's where it'll be blocked off. But we'll move the barricades aside and go through, which there's a provision for us to do that. Nobody from Santa Barbara engineers at Broadcast Peak have given us any reports that the road was closed. So usually they chit chat back and forth when it is, but heard nothing. So we'll presume it's open. We'll find out.
Okay, now you guys got my email that I got ADSB back up, so you don't need to mess with that.
From up on top.
Yeah, on Sending His Peak.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
So
that's
what
okay.
did you do? What did you do that brought it around?
Well, I had to wipe out some tables in the routers and restart them in 2 routers to get the I don't know what it was. I think because of the it was probably going up and down a lot, and we've got 2 routers that have to synchronize. Got the router at the club station, and we got the router at the Mesa at the TCF. And anyway, I rebooted everything. I don't like to do that unless I'm there, because then you can get stuck. And anyway, but it all worked out, and it brought the ADSB box back up. So unfortunately, it didn't help with the with the data logger.
Yeah. And it's strange, it sends out emails, but not, you can't log into it.
Yeah, it's using 2 IP addresses. It didn't complete its DHCP handouts or its assignment. So that's what it's doing. I don't know really what's going on with it, but it's
okay. Well, I cobbled together a device so we can reboot it with the NetBooter in the future. So I'll bring that up there. And
okay, yeah, there's also a watchdog function in there I discovered reading the manual, and so we can get that program too. So if it can't reach something that it should be able to reach, it'll reboot itself after a given number of failures, and that ought to help a lot too. That's what we're doing with the Diablo radio, microwave radio for the link.
Okay.
So anyway, one of the things I wanted to mention is we're doing a lot of stuff on our SWAPnet lately. So if you haven't been to the club website and checked out all the goodies that we are getting in, and we're putting new stuff up every week. And so if you're looking for something to fool around with, or a little, something for your shack or something, check it out. It's actually providing some good extra income for the club. Let's see, another item is we have sold the Rover. And the new owner is sitting right here. We've sold the Rover to Ken, KA6KEN, and we couldn't get anybody to be interested in, being a new Rover master and taking care of it and stuff. And it costs us every year, if you don't count it's over $1,000 a year in expenses for insurance, and then last year we had I think it was closer to $1,500 for a catalytic converter that got stolen that we had to replace, and nobody's using it. Nobody wants to get involved with it. So the good thing is that if Ken's buying it, we might see it again at a field day or a weekend or something like that. So anyway, he'll take good care of it. And yeah, you're not backing out, are you, Ken?
You're muted, Ken.
Muted.
You're muted.
Still muted.
Your mic is muted, Ken.
You're muted, Ken.
Ken,
There
your
we
mic-
go.
there you
I
go.
kept clicking it and it wouldn't unmute. I don't know what was going on. It's very strange. No, I am not. I intended to actually take it up to Fraser, not Fraser Peak. I was saying, well, what's the other one? Figueroa Peak this weekend for the contest tomorrow. It was my whole goal. I was going to start getting ready Wednesday, about an hour after our generator barfed. Yeah, matter of fact, Mike Wapner was going to go with me, and we were going to do a 2-man hit on the NAQP this Saturday phone, and I had to cancel it. I also found out later that evening that apparently the forests are all closed, so I don't know if I would. I bet I could have snuck by. I think if I'd said over communications, they probably would have let me through, but yeah, it didn't happen.
That's got a generator in it, Ken.
Yeah, I don't think I want to look at another generator for a while.
It works.
It's probably a little less sophisticated than these 250,000 watt generators. This thing's got both a supercharger and a turbocharger on it. It's a Detroit diesel 4-cylinder, a straight 4, of course, I guess. I don't think I've ever heard of a V4, but the thing is, it's huge. You know, the whole generator's what I compare it to. It's about the size of the van, almost exactly.
Yeah, I've seen it before. It's a big guy.
Yeah, it's a little scary having your hands in there. You got to absolutely make sure that you have turned things off, and there's no way it's going to automatically start on you. And you're playing with 480 volts, which is always fun. So,
yeah.
But no, not backing out.
Okay, good.
Just tell me when you're ready.
Hey, Ken, try handling 4,000 kilowatt generators in the aircraft carrier behind me.
Nice. For 1 megawatt generators?
4,000 or 4,000 kilowatt generators. So there's 4 generators per engine room. There's 4 engine rooms. So there's 4 times 4 kilowatt.
That's pretty intense.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
what I did.
what other news do we got? I was going to mention a few of us have bought these new weather stations. If you've ever listened to the Cuckoo Net in the morning for years, we've been having, we've been getting all excited over 1/4 inch of rain and this kind of stuff. And we actually, this year, we got a chance to really see our weather stations work. If you've ever been interested in a weather station, what I want to do is show you something here. Let me share my screen. Okay. I put up a webpage at the Santa Barbara, it's at sbwireless.org website. That's ours. And I put some of our weather stations up there. Now I have 2 of them. I have a Davis Vantage Pro weather station, and now I helped Dennis WB6OBB put in one of these new Tempest weather stations, and they're really kind of cool. Let me copy that link there. Let me put that over here. Okay, they cost about $300 and they're super easy to put up. This is all it is. It's this thing here. You put it on a fence post or I put mine on a piece of a 1-inch EMT pipe. And this little dot right here, you face that north and you're pretty much done. It's wireless, it's solar, it has no moving parts. It detects the wind by the wind blowing through this little space here, and there's ultrasonic sensors in there. And then it detects the rain on the top of this by, somehow magically turning the little taps of water into inches of rain. and displays it on, you have your own website, basically. You can go to anybody can go to the website and look at your weather. It has an iPhone app. Setting it up is super simple. All you got to do is enter your longitude and latitude, your a few other things, height above sea level, that kind of stuff. And from then on, it keeps track of your weather, and you can go back and you can look at graphs and see how much rain you had last year. And so if you've ever thought about getting a weather station, those are really simple to do. Like, for instance, I'll show you mine here. This is what you see when the public can see this, and it gives
Can
you,
you give us a link to that?
it is actually,
Put it in the
yeah,
chat?
just go to sbwireless.org. This page here. Sorry about that. Don't have this, supposed to have a live image of Santa Cruz Island, and we haven't had that for a while. That's why that little link is broken. So if you go to sbwireless.org.
Okay, Santa Barbara Wireless Foundation.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's
All right.
also us.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Brian, do you have my weather station? Because I have the same one you do.
There we go. I got it. Thank you.
No, I don't have a link for yours.
I'm on ARS CWOP.
No, I'm not doing those. Let me show you here. So if we look at member weather stations, what we want to do is, okay, here's mine again. And if you click anywhere up in here, it gives you a nice, in big letters that you can read easily, tells you your current conditions. If you go back, it's actually, the forecast is pretty good. It gives you hourly forecasts for every day, and it goes out 10 days. So we see their next possibility of rain is Sunday the 29th. Wait a minute, let me go back here. I was watching in all the different, for the last week when we had rain coming in, I was trying to see how accurate their predictions were, and they were remarkably accurate. If it said it was going to rain, at 1 o'clock, sometime shortly around 1 o'clock or shortly thereafter, it rained. So they're using artificial intelligence, and they're grabbing information from radar, from all kinds of things, other weather stations, the National Weather Service, and they crunch all this, and they come up with pretty accurate predictions, and it changes from hour to hour. You can see how things are progressing. So they're really kind of cool. And I set this up so that others, we could see that Ken has one. This is Ken's. It's 40 degrees out at your house, Ken. I hope you've got the heat on. The
heat is cracking, 70 degrees. Still hasn't caught up though. And
Wayne has one. It's 42 at his house. Let's see, what was it at my house here? It was 49. I guess I'm the warmest one. And then there's...
You're closest to the sun.
Huh?
You're closest to the sun.
Yeah. And then there's Dennis, WV60VV, there's his, and he's 49 degrees. So it's kind of neat, and everybody has the same looking website. They just have it's the same website. It just has your station number and your link, and you can look at everybody's weather. And the more people that install them in Santa Barbara, the better our predictions are. And they already have quite a few. You can look at a map of all of their installations. All these people in Santa Barbara have Tempest weather stations. And you can just look at the map, and you can pick somebody like, let's see, where am I? Okay, there's a guy that lives down the street from me and shows his conditions. He's 44.2 and I am 49.3. He lives further down in the canyon where it's a little colder. and I'm at the top, so it's always a little warmer up here. But it's really kind of interesting, and to watch it in the rain, you could see during the rainstorms, you could see all the, just click on any station and see where it was raining hard, and anyway, so if you've ever had a interest in weather, this is a real easy way to do it, and you don't have to know anything about the internet or setting up a website. It's just all automatic. If you are into it, weather it will automatically post all this data to Weather Underground, so you can go back and keep look at historical records going way back. And I'll quickly show you. This is a website that I built for myself. This is all my stuff from my Davis weather station. So some of the numbers are a little different because it's in a different location, but overall, this station has been very trustworthy, and the rainfall was very, very close. The wind speeds are a little bit different because they're located in different areas in my property. But now Levi also has a Davis weather station, and yeah, we got to talk him into doing something a little more fancy. But his temperature is 51 degrees. But it's kind of neat to, because we all know each other, and we can look and see what the weather is at each one of our houses. So everybody, if you ever think about it and you have any questions, just let us know. I'm happy to help figure it out for you.
Brian, they calibrated mine last week for me.
Oh, did they?
They did, but it was still off in the last rain. They did it right before the last rain. And I emailed and said, hey guys, it's still off by about the same amount. And I got an answer from somebody a little more technical, I could tell by the answer. And he said that the near, I can't remember, there's an acronym, NC something, something, like near field, other people that they're looking at other people near me apparently, and then waiting.
Yeah. Nearcast or something like that.
Nearcast, yeah. And he said if you go turn that off, you'll see that your numbers are probably all correct. He said I looked at what the values would be without that turned on, and the new numbers are actually very accurate compared to what you're submitting from your I have a glass tube that's graduated, and I've been submitting those results to them to try to calibrate the tempest, and he said you'll find that it's spot on now if you turn that option off. So I didn't know that was on. He said it's on by default.
Yeah, it's on by default. Because I have another weather station that that is accurate. I gave them that information, and they were able to calibrate mine, and it's very, very close now to the other one. It's not exact, but it's very close. It makes a difference if you're in like your area, there's hardly any other stations around you. So this Nearcast thing checks other stations in your area, your elevation, and that kind of stuff, and the computers figure it out what your rainfall ought to be based upon what it's seeing. And I have seen mine, it'll actually reduce the amount of rainfall that I got. I look at it 1 minute, it says 3 inches, and I look at it then 5 minutes later, it says 2.5 inches.
Because I have to argue that point there, Brian.
The what?
I have to argue that point. You're higher than Lake Kachuma yearly rainfall. So I don't understand why you cannot see my rain gauge, my weather station as a weather link or in Weather Underground, and you're not displaying that, because my rain station shows I have like 13 inches. You have over the amount of Kachuma's rain entirely for the year. So how does the Riviera get more rain than Kachuma? I don't understand how you calculated that.
I didn't calculate it. That's what I got.
Well, I know, but that's the oddity of the weather stations. That's why we need to import all this communication. But I'm excluded in this factor.
Well,
Well, the only ones that I'm putting are the ones that are personal, that are web pages for. Send me the links that you got. What I'm trying to do is keep them somewhat consistent so that there are web pages for each individual person. Not that you have to go there and click on a bunch of stuff to see it, but I don't like Weather Underground because they're delayed. They're not real time.
Well,
And-
I'm on Weather Underground, but I'm also APRS and the CWOP.
Yeah, I know.
You can research my W0GFB weather station and it'll pop up.
The problem is they're not real time. And that's what I'm trying to do. Anyway, we can talk about that later. I don't want to waste time on that right now. Anyway, it's kind of fun. Some of you may already have weather stations, you know, if you have one of these things and you know, you want to get it on there. Well, like I'm trying to put up things that are real time so people can go look at it, not look at the history, look at what's happening, you know, right now. Because that's around here, that's when it's cool because, you know, when you're getting rain and it's raining at, you know, at a rate of 2 inches per hour, you know, it's kind of interesting to go compare and see how hard it is at somebody else's house. So anyway, let me see. Okay, as most of you probably know, oh, there was one other thing. There's a contest coming up, and I wish Levi was here. He knows all about it. We'll put some stuff on the website when we know more. A guy is trying to organize an HT contest. And what it is they're trying to get people in every zone, you know, so like people in the DMO4 zone, to find a place. And what they're trying to do is to start out with a message, see how far you can relay it around the state or the country or whatever, over an HT. So the idea is to go up to some place that's really high. And for example, we might try and get Carpinteria. Carpinteria might try and hit Ventura. Ventura might try and hit something else. So anyway, it's kind of like a takeoff on the old, like on the, what do they call the message?
Traffic.
The what? Traffic, yeah. The traffic system where people relay messages to get messages to other people. But anyway, it might be interesting, and everybody can do it. All you need is, matter of fact, that's all you can use is an HT with a rubber duck antenna and you know, a 5-watt HT, and I hope he pulls it off. It sounds like it might be kind of fun.
Brian, I just got one of those messages yesterday, hand delivered to me. It
Really?
was pretty cool. I was just trying to find it. I brought it into the house a few minutes ago. I was going to show it to everybody. It's a radiogram, I think they call it.
Yeah.
It was from some guy in Montana. And apparently when I did the last contest 3 or 4 weeks ago, he was one of my contacts and he wrote, you know, I'll go get it real quick. I'll show it to you. I think it's sitting on the kitchen counter.
Yeah, go ahead and get it. There was I think that's still being done. I think they still do that on the OBB repeater on 147,000 once a week or something. They ask for traffic and they relay traffic. That matter of fact, that's what ham radio did. Like in World War II, the people would soldiers and they did it in Vietnam too. Soldiers would go somewhere where somebody had a ham radio and they'd call a ham in the States, and the guy and whoever got the message would make sure that the person's relatives got it, whether it was a phone call, a letter. There's an actual ARRL form for this. Is that what you have, Ken?
Yeah, I'm scanning it because I thought instead of holding it up in front of the camera, do I have some way of like just sticking it on the screen? Everyone can see it if I scan it. Is that too complicated?
Yeah, I can share the screen.
Oh, okay.
If you have it digitally, yeah.
Yeah, well, I do now. I heard my scanner just beep, so let me go over to that directory.
Here, let me.
Guy who was the gateway station for all traffic out of Vietnam was up in South San Francisco. Don Johnson, W6QIE, he was taking 17,000 teletype messages a month that came originally from Vietnam, and then transmitting them into various stations that distributed them to localities where people would hand deliver them to family or phone them to families. 17,000
Yeah,
messages.
and there's still people that are keeping up that ability. So okay, I enabled sharing for anybody. So go ahead, Ken.
So do I, Brian, is there a way just to share one window on the screen, or is it the whole
Yeah.
screen?
When you click share, it'll let you select the window that you want to share.
Okay, so I'm going to click. I right clicked. Okay, I'm using the dots and I don't see share window. Share screen. There it is. Got it. Okay, and so I'm going to pick. Oh wow, I got a lot of stuff open. Okay, here it is. Pink. And then I click share. Hey, look at that.
Hey, Thomas, this is one of your test questions.
Oh, yeah.
See that?
Wait, yeah.
It's a test question.
Let's see.
Remember the radio header, Thomas? There it is, right in front of you.
Is that visible, Brian?
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I've never actually seen one that somebody got.
I think we didn't during the field day contest. One of the to get extra points, I think you send a radiogram, or you start one out. I don't know where it ends up, but I have this. Or no, but no, you send one.
Yeah, you sent your section manager. That's where it goes.
Yeah, that's right. And then if someone sends, I think you're supposed to copy one too. And if you send one, you get some points. If you copy one, you get some points. And so yeah, but a lot of people do it during field day. This one was received by Laura, Dr. Laura. Oh my gosh, I just forgot. Tunnel. She was Tom's wife, N6RA. He passed last year. He was in the club for a long time, but I think they're both patent attorneys, but she's here in town and she does an 80-meter net every week. And this came in. I mean, she's been talking about this whole thing for quite a while. And then she said, "You have a radiogram." I thought, I do? I thought it was just something she had, she was goofing around or something like that. And she had put something together. I figured since she was just kind of new to it, she does it via it's done via CW, this particular net she does. And no, it was I got a radiogram. It just happened to end up with her, and she just started doing the nets a few weeks ago. I have lunch with her probably every month. So it was kind of weird, coincidental, interesting, but it's still alive. They're still doing it.
Cool.
Yeah. Now, do I have to give the screen back to you, Brian?
Yeah, there should be a red box. There you go. A little red button to
I just closed it. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, but I think this is supposed to be in February sometime. So we'll be February or March. Anyway, as soon as we get more information on it, he sent it to a club address and just seeing if we would participate. And as soon as we get more information on it, we'll put it on the website. But anybody can do this. I mean, anybody, even if all you have is a Bofang radio, you can go out and stand on your roof and see if you can hear a message or relay it to somebody else. So it ought to be kind of fun. Okay, let's see what's next here. Okay, so most of you, I'm sure you probably might have heard that we had a little bit of a disaster with during the storm. One of our towers collapsed. So I did a little PowerPoint thing here to kind of show everybody what happened and what we're doing. We've gotten most of the important stuff back up, and we're still working on other things, but okay, let me share my screen here. Okay, I'll start way from the start. Okay, can you all see that?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. We started out in December trying to do some upgrades to make things, we didn't know what we were gonna end up with here, but to improve our connectivity to other sites, we added a microwave link between the club station and Lacumba Peak West. The purpose is we're adding an ADS-B receiver up there to support the search and rescue guys so that they can better see aircraft that are down back below the mountain range when they're doing searches and things like that. They disappear off of the ADS-B system because there's nothing in that, nothing that was capable of hearing their signals. So we'll be putting a ADS-B receiver up there. Now, in order for those to work, it requires a network connection. And there's nothing like that up there. So we installed 2 microwave dishes, one at the club station and one up at Lacumba Peak, so that we can, and we actually now have internet up there. So we'll be able to, when the box gets installed up there, the receiver, we will be able to add that to our existing group of receivers that report to our ADS-B system. And it'll also serve as a middle link to other sites if necessary, and help provide remote maintenance capability for future improvements. This is kind of cool. Wayne AF6GX designed a custom mount for the, as you can see, this tower doesn't have a lot of the normal things some of the towers have. So he designed a custom mount to work with this type of tower so we could mount the dish on there. And as you can see, it's adjustable. It attaches only with, it uses, bolts to compress the little clip on there, so that there's no drilling involved. There's no and we don't leave any mark, there's no damage to the tower itself. That's what it looked like up in the air from the back. You can see they did a great job of aiming it too.
Is that an ubiquity system?
Yeah, those are Ubiquity power beams.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, they're pretty good. We've got about 140 megabit per second connection, so it's pretty good. So that will allow us to. I mean, we could even put a camera up there. There's plenty of bandwidth for live video. Anyway, they did a really good job. There's our part of our engineering team up there, and that's Wayne up there on the tower. Let's see. On January 4th, we had the first of 3 large rainstorms. That particular night, all of our weather stations reported between 1.5 to 2 inches of rain. Wind speeds were recorded up to 20 plus miles an hour. For a long period of time. This was taken from Dennis's weather station. We looked at the graph for that period of time, and as you can see, the gusts were constant, ranging from the 12 to 20 mile an hour range. About 11 o'clock, sometime 11:08 or 11:09, something like that, we ceased getting reports coming in for a lot of things. All of our various equipment at different sites all depend on one critical thing, and I'm going to show you here in a minute. Our repeater link to San Ynez Peak was down, the one for 518 repeater. Our All-Star system was down, ADS-B was down, AIS was down, and we couldn't reach any of our sites remotely over the internet. I don't know, we we have a system where we can do almost anything to any of our sites without ever leaving our desks. So, or I can anyway. So everything is that's tied into our network can be, we can reboot things, we can get data, we can update things, we can we can do everything as if we were there. So it really saves us a lot of time, and it saves a lot of trips to remote sites. This is what the tower looked like before the storm hit us. This big antenna here is a GMRS antenna, and we have our emergency locator antenna here. And there's this one here is a big important one. This little dish right here is our link to the Red Cross, where our internet comes in. So we have another dish on the tower at the Red Cross, and that's how we're able to control everything. It comes in here, goes into the building, and we've got computer equipment in there and a router. And from there, we go to San Ynez Peak and also out to Diablo, and now also to La Cumbre Peak. So that one was real important. And that is, without the internet, we couldn't really do anything. We could reach the Red Cross, but we couldn't get any further than that. So that was it. There's there's a Marine band antenna here. This is the DTMF control. UHF beam, that's the one I think that goes out to UCSB. This one has been off the air for quite a while. This was a link to the Gibraltar or the Gibraltar site, the John Franklin site. This big one down here is the one that goes to San Ynez Peak, and there's a lot of equipment up there. There's of course the repeaters, and that's how we maintain the link between when we link the repeaters up, so that they all synchronize together. And so this one was another one that we really depend on. This one here is an APRS antenna. So what we've got now, at least what I know that we have, is the Red Cross data link has been replaced. It's been moved to another location. And I'll show you the data link to San Ynez Peak. And this gives us back the majority of our services, and allows us to once again maintain things and check things out remotely. This is what it looked like after the storm. Levi called me up and says, you know what, All-Star's not working. And usually it's a quick fix. I hop on the computer up at the Mesa, and from my desk here at home, and I restart something or change or reboot something or whatever, but I couldn't get to anything. And so Levi took a trip up there, and he sent me a text and says, it looks like we're going to have to re-aim the antenna. And so anyway, I went up there, and it was a mess. Everything was laying in the dirt. You can see down here, this is our big dish, a 40-inch plus dish that goes for the San Ynez Peak repeater link. And there's our poor little Red Cross dish right there, the one that we get our internet through. And it's buried in the dirt, in the mud. And there's another view of it. As you can see, all of this cabling, we were kind of lucky that it laid over nicely and it didn't crimp anything. This is hard line, and it's very difficult to work with and expensive. And it just laid over nicely. Oops, let me go back here. Oops, I'm going too far. Okay, boy, I don't want to touch the. Boy, it's going on its own. Okay, sorry about that. Anyway, the only dish that wasn't damaged was the one that we don't use anymore. the one that goes to Gibraltar Peak, and there it is. It's just sitting there looking for something to do. And so the as I was saying, anyway, this we lucked out. You can see here, this right here is the end of the one leg of the tower. That's where it's supposed to be, and it just sheared off. And it laid over it very nicely and didn't hurt any of our cabling. So we got a crew up there, and a whole bunch of people showed up. So we first, the thing we had to do is get the tower disassembled and get it out of the way and get everything off of the tower so that we could figure out what we need to do next. So we had a pretty good crew up there, everybody working on separating the tower sections and getting them out of the way. So there's some various pictures of that. Here's Glenn here removing the poor old Red Cross internet link dish. That was actually harder to get off than it looks. It was in a bad position, and it was very difficult to get a good purchase on the bolt. As you can see, we had a nice radome on this dish, and it sort of didn't make it. It turned into little pieces.
Humpty Dumpty.
Yeah. It's a heavy mount, you know. The mount is there's a big piece of pipe here. It didn't mount cleanly to this to this section of tower. So the mount that ended up being used for this is fairly substantial. And you can see here where the
feed horn,
yeah, went through, bent the dish, and but the feed horn was still salvageable. This feed horn sit right there. Also, a tree fell down up there as well that blocked the road. The trees circled right there, so there was quite a bit of damage. There's the tree. It just uprooted that tree.
Both those trees are dead. They're all rotted out.
Yeah. So we had to do a little bit of cable wrestling here. As we worked, we had to be really careful to keep it from kinking. And so it was good to have a lot of people there, because we were able to keep it so that so that when it did flex, it flexed at a very wide radius so that it didn't affect the cable any. And Bill said when we were going up there, he says, "Bring sawhorses," and I was wondering what he needed the sawhorses for. But it became apparent after we got this cable lined up there that we laid it on top of all these sawhorses to keep it off the ground and keep it straight. So anyway, that's what it looked like after we separated the tower and got the cable laid out over the sawhorses. As you can see, this at this point, I think I took this later. This is the link, the antenna or the dish for the link to San Ynez Peak. And it got sort of relocated at the base of this other tower, and it does work. So if you've noticed, the link is back, and everything is working. And Wayne was able to get it aligned again. This is what was left of our little dish that was pointed at the Red Cross. It was almost embarrassing how little electronics were in there. There was just a board, and the antennas are these little wires here inside the feed horn. And
that's a dipole with a reflector behind it, I believe.
Yeah, there's not a lot to it.
The reflector's still good.
Yeah. Well, take it sledding or something. But it was pretty
Brian?
damaged, and the feed horn was useless.
Is the one that you repointed to San Ynez Peak on the picture too before the one that had the radome on it?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, the radome died.
Yeah, the radome didn't make it.
So did you have to bend the dish back a little bit, or was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Wayne took a pair of nice channel lock type Knipex pliers and was able to kind of get that back in line. And I wasn't there when he actually finished it. So what did you do, Wayne?
Yeah, it was just a matter of straightening out where those screw holes came through there, and then we were able to put it in. And then the big revelation is when Bill realized that we had the polarity wrong, and we suddenly picked up about 25 dB when we straightened that out.
Wow.
So now we have the signal strength pretty much the same as when it was 12 feet in the air. So
Yeah,
I'm surprised it works as well as it does, being basically on the ground.
Yeah, and it's stable too. I've been watching it, and the bandwidth stays very stable. So yeah, it's working. This one I just put it here just because I didn't know what this was. So never quite seen a hat like that. This is a picture of another tower that is going to have some problems here. As you can see, it's rusted through here. Looks the same over here, only not quite as bad. And these towers belong to the city, and they're not going to survive a lot longer. So this one might be the next one to shear off. But anyway, we're currently waiting for the city to decide how things are going to go here. So in the meantime, we're back up and running. This is another picture of the one tower that's still standing. Obviously, something needs to be done before the next big. Now, admittedly, we had a lot of stuff on our tower. And this one doesn't have quite as much. So it's not catching the wind that those big dishes did. So, but still, I mean, this is not going to last forever.
You should have seen what it looked like a couple of years ago before I sprayed zinc on it. $9 over at the Home Improvement Center.
So we decided we're going to possibly put the link for to San Ynez Peak, the dish on this tower. And we pulled 260 feet of cable, or what was it, Wayne?
Yeah, about that. Yeah, 240.
From which is a big job, because you got to lift off these heavy diamond plate steel covers and crawl in a ditch that was full of water, and anyway, pull the cable out there. And then we found out, unfortunately, we can't do that because they got other plants. So anyway, that was just an exercise. So at least there's a cable there. So so anyway, that was when Wayne was finished. You can see he made a jig for aligning this thing and getting everything all squared up and aimed to the peak. So these are the diamond plate. There's tunnels in there. There's like big culverts in there, and they're full of cables, and they're covered with these diamond plate plates that are very heavy. And so it takes a lot of elbow grease to get those out of the way so you can climb in there. But why did it do this? I gotta wait a minute. Let me stop this for just a second. I don't know what's going on with the.
Is that still a rat raceway, Brian?
Oh, that was actually the end of the thing. So okay.
We didn't see any when we were down there, but we have had issues with rats eating cables.
Yeah.
We did have to replace one a few years ago, but
I remember that,
Uh,
yeah.
Haven't had problems with that since.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the replacement tower?
Pardon me?
What's the replacement tower, or is the other one salvageable?
No, we don't know yet. We have to, we're at the mercy of the city at this point. We need to find out what all the towers belong to them. They own the site, and you know, so they put up those towers many years ago, and they put up two for us specifically, but still they own them. And so they are going to have to figure out what they want to do, and then hopefully we'll, you know, it won't be, knowing the city, it could be months until we know what their master plan is. But I think the fact that one of them fell down rang the bell down there, and now they're all thinking, you know, well, we got to look at this and make sure that everything's done right. So the so our job has basically been, we know what we have to work with, which is one less tower. And so our job has been to restore what we can and do whatever workarounds necessary to keep everything running. And at this point, Wayne, have any of those other antennas been put back up?
Yeah, we have the UHF link to UCSB, so we have remote receivers operating, and then we have AIS, and then we have, you know, the new link we put into Red Cross.
Yeah, we put a new link to the Red Cross, got two new dishes. So far, we've only spent like $300 on this, and it was only $300 for the two dishes for the Red Cross, and they relocated them over close to close to our building and on the fence line there, so they're out of anybody's way and they're not going to fall over. So the other one, Wayne got up on the tower at the Red Cross and installed the new one. They did a great job of aiming, and after a little tweaking, we've got 3-4 times the bandwidth than we had before. So it was overall an upgrade for us. So anyway, so everybody that is, you know, when you're using repeaters and stuff, you got an idea of how much work and things go on in the background that no one ever notices, no one ever sees, and there's it's quite complicated. And it's sometimes amazes me that we can do all the things that we do. Let's see, anybody have any questions about any of that stuff? Okay, so moving forward, you know, we may have, as we, you know, work on things, we may have some things that'll have to be shut down temporarily. I don't know yet, but if we do, we'll deal with it, because it's, you know, we'll be doing it to upgrade or to change towers or whatever the city tells us to do. So now Monday, Bill and Wayne got a lift on a helicopter, and they're going to go out to Diablo, and they're heading out with a replacement radio for the microwave, and it's already been pre-programmed. It's all ready to swap in, and we're hoping that that's going to bring our link back up between Diablo and here. Part of the problem is I think that the radio out there just needed to be rebooted. So this one has been programmed to reboot if it loses a connection after a reasonable amount of time. So maybe we'll be able to avoid this in the future. But now when we do bring that up, we ran into a problem before and we were unable to read the data from the logger that we have there, where the repeater was shutting down because of low battery. And during the period of time when it was overcast here for several days, we didn't get enough sun for the solar to replenish the charge on the batteries, and there wasn't enough power to run the repeater out there. So I think
probably, and Bill and Wayne are going to be able to tell us better later on when they are able to see the data. We may be making some modifications as to how accessible the repeaters are out there as far as linking. There are other things out there that are important, so we can't just drain the batteries and wait for them to recharge. We need to make sure that that the link is always up, and that the other things that we have out there stay powered up, and that we continue to get the data. So if we, you know, for when we first got that linked up, we had those repeaters on full time, 2 repeaters. And of course, with every net, both repeaters were transmitting at, you know, however many watts they transmit at. And we have out there. What? I'm sorry, did somebody say something? Okay, anyway, we want to bring them back up, but we want to make sure that we don't run the batteries down too far. So we'll have to see how it goes. So anyway, it'd be nice if we can continue to use them for nets and things, but we'd just have to reassess all that particular part of the link when it gets restored. So well, there'll be more later. Anyway, that's about all I have for tonight. Anybody have any questions or any other topics they want to bring up?
Just a comment relative to that. At our TCF site, we have a power system that has what's called critical power and non-critical power. So whenever we lose line power and generator power, and we're going on our batteries, then after 7 minutes we drop off, you know, a bunch of non-critical stuff to keep, you know, the basic TZ alive. We may want to do something similar to that at Diablo, or maybe just have the linking be on demand, you know, set it up at certain times or whatever, and maybe not link the 220 repeater, because that's certainly a power drain that, you know, fits very little audience.
Yeah, there are actually, that's a great repeater.
It is. I mean, it's terrific. It's a terrific repeater, a great coverage, and you know, just sound quality and everything. The tape repeaters are very good, but not many people have 220 radios. So
no, when it was linked, you know, I noticed a lot more traffic from you know, sailors, from mariners that were out there, you know, that were just thrilled to death that repeater was there, and that they could call somebody and somebody would answer. And I talked to a couple, and I heard other people, several other people, you know, talking to people that are on a sailboat out there or something, or out fishing or whatever, and just amazed that they're able to use their radios out there with you know, such good quality audio, because the repeater and the repeater was so close to him. So it's a nice thing, you know, and it'd be ideal if we could have our own helicopter, and we could take out lots more batteries and solar panels and really you know, but it's a big job to get the batteries out there and solar panels. So we have to deal with what we got, and sooner or later those batteries will have to be replaced. So,
and the building.
And oh yeah, I'm surprised the building, with all the wind up there and everything, it's still there.
And
I know a guy that's taken the helicopter lessons. I wonder if he needs some extra hours. I'll have to ask him.
He better be good, because the landing pad is not large.
Well, he's just learning, so he's probably not good. But he's been flying his entire life, but not helicopters. So
yeah, he probably doesn't want to practice on that landing pad. It's brush and sloped, and
yeah, and the tail hangs over the cliff when they when they land.
I was going to say, this is Bill here. I would caution anybody with a fixed wing or a helicopter not to land out there or you'll be taking it apart in pieces and trucking it back to the mainland. It's a totally restricted area, and only those approved with the approved equipment, pilots and so forth are allowed to land out there. This is by virtue of the Nature Conservancy and other Park Service rules of flying over that island. So even the east end of Santa Rosa at Betcher's, the landing strip there, one time pilots used to take off from Santa Barbara and they'd land out there and even stay for the day and come on back. You're not allowed to do that anymore. So it's pretty well restricted. We understand that Dr. Stanton made people take an airplane apart, and I was never there to see it, but take the wings off and truck it off the island. But that's the way it is. So never hand out the invitation. We can get to the island, we just can't get to the peak. Normally it would take, just for 1 hour on top would take 3 days. With a helicopter, we can try to do things in a couple of hours. So it pays to have that service. And by the way, this comes because of our work with the Wireless Foundation and the use by pilots and so forth, and the Nature Conservancy also. So, you know, we're in there and we're trying to hold the site together. A new set of batteries would cost probably 30 to 35,000 right now. We have 60 some odd solar panels that's out there dating way back to the early days of solar and so forth. So those solar panels, which are 17 volts, are still working, but not putting out as much as they were in the beginning. And what we had going wrong out there which was several days of no sun, and it stair step down till finally it went off. And I got a call that a pilot was not able to communicate with dispatch. So I get up very early in the morning, usually at 4, and I checked it at 4 o'clock, and sure enough, the repeater is on, off. That's the lowest point for the batteries, is very early in the morning before the sun ever comes up. So I told dispatch to that they're going to be without a radio until the sun comes up, and usually got to wait a little bit so that it breaks over the 12 volt point, and then it will come back and keep you on for the day. So what we did, took another radio down to the helicopter dispatch desk, and Matt and I installed it there. So they were able to talk very early in the morning to the helicopters, and as soon as the sun comes up, then the site takes over. So there's a lot going on at that site. Search and rescue, Aspen helicopters, the National Park Service, and the Nature Conservancy. And I'm forgetting, there's a host of other people that are.
Channel Islands Restoration.
Yeah, Channel Islands Restoration is there. And so we're having to maintain everybody's equipment. So it's not just our own. So that's why we keep it underneath the Santa Barbara Wireless Foundation, because there's more people involved in this than you want to shake a stick at. And how long this is going to continue, we don't know. But we're in there every inch of the fight, try to maintain what we can out there. The issue is there's no source of funding. There's no public safety out there that's going to run the system for us or put money into it. The closest thing that comes to that is search and rescue. And they use that as one of their repeaters on the island. And Park Service is there, but they're converting their system as we speak. They're going to start out and put in what is called a multicast system. And multicast means that all of their 5 repeaters will be controlled out of Sequoia National Park, as it is now. But they're going to do it with a different system. And that means using wireless networks and so forth. So all the control for the islands will be through Sequoia, believe it or not. And they work through the U.S. Forest Service, just moved out of Santa Maria and is now on board Vandenberg Air Force Base. So, and they're going to be one of the control base stations for the islands. Anyway, didn't want to digress too far on that, just give you an idea. Anyway, back to, let's see, who had it last there? Brian, did you have it last? Go ahead. Yeah.
Hey, Bill, just stay well, will you? Stay healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, if Bill mentioned the Santa Barbara Wireless Foundation, and in case people that aren't really familiar with that, that is our public facing arm of the club. And it's a foundation. We formed that underneath the SBARC Corporation, and SBARC is officially SBARC is the club part of the club, and for ham radio, but we get into other things that aren't ham radio. And as Bill said, there's a bunch of people that depend on us to maintain their equipment, to give them advice, tell them how to build things. So we a couple of years ago we formed the foundation so that it gave us a more professional looking appearance to the people that we're working with. So go to the sbwireless.org website sometime, look at it, look at our partners page there, and you can see all the different agencies that we work with. And we found that unfortunately, when you have a club in your name, like Santa Barbara Amateur Radio Club, they picture us as a bunch of old bastards trying to stay awake and sitting in our basements in our underwear and talking to people on the radio, when in reality that's far from the truth. So
they picture us as a bunch of amateurs.
So we did that. Hopefully it'll also help us attract more funding and being taken more seriously as major players in anything wireless in Santa Barbara. Bill knows everybody who's anybody and everybody who wants to be somebody. So and he's Wayne and Levi are both learning. I'm learning, so that we are, but it creates opportunities for us. And that's one of the opportunities is the chance to be out there on the island. And it's the same thing with the radio station down in Carpinteria, having a 401k nonprofit, more professional looking appearance to some of the people we work with, helps the club in the long run. So, we're first and foremost an amateur radio club, but there's an awful lot of stuff also going on as part of that. And we're the only club around here. We're the only entity at all that has equipment in all these various peaks and locations. If you start up a ham radio club tomorrow, good luck finding a place to put your repeater. It's the things that we have done, when Aries is more active, and the things we do as a foundation that keeps us there. And so it's important that we do that. So anyway, Levi, since you're here, can you briefly explain that contest with the HTs going around the world, around the country?
Oh boy, yeah. So I guess the highlights are it's coming up in April. It's a relatively new ham. He's got this idea where he wants to have, he's starting with our grid square, which what is it, Delta Mike 04, is that our grid square?
Yeah.
It's huge. It goes from basically Gaviota to Riverside, and then up to Edwards Air Force Base and south to the Channel Islands. So it's a huge grid square. Huge, and it's the same size as the other grid squares, but it's a huge population in that grid square. I think he said something like 3 or 5% of the U.S. licensed hams live in Delta Mike 04. So, and the other thing about it is it's incredibly geographically diverse. It's got sea level terrain, it's got mountains, it's got snow, it's got beaches, it's got, you know, anything you can imagine, foothills, flatlands, deserts. And so his goal is to use this as an experiment to try to send a message via HT on simplex from one end of the grid square to the other end of the grid square. And then as a proof of concept for sending a message across the entire United States, because of the geographic diversity of our Southern California area, it actually mimics a lot of the geographic diversity that we have across the whole country. So I sent out a message. I think I just sent it to the digital group, but I'm happy to send it to the whole SBARC mailing list as well. He's looking for volunteers, and he's planning on an event this spring in our grid square where we would pass a message simplex across Delta Mike 04 from Santa Barbara down to Riverside, and sort of like national traffic, but not over HF and not over repeaters and not over rooftop antennas. He wants everyone standing on terra firma with an HT and an antenna attached to that HT to see how far we can reliably relay a message from station to station. So kind of cool. I don't think he knows much about the national traffic system or the history of passing traffic over HF and the league and all of that. So I'm sure he's getting an earful from all of the old time hams who've got lots of suggestions about how to do this. But it's an interesting experiment from a relatively new ham licensed in the past few years. And it seems like a cool thing to support because it's right here in our backyard.
And we need more of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, we need more of that where we're out trying things. And that's part of the fun of radios is figuring out what your radios can do and learning from it. And we'll see. You know, I think it'd be fun.
Yeah. I'll send it out so you get the details. And I've asked him to keep me in the loop. He sought us out. He was looking for a radio club in the western part of the grid square, and we happen to be you know, the last major population center to the northwest on the grid square. So he wants it. I think he's going to want the message to start maybe out at Ken's house. You might be one of the last neighborhoods in Delta Mike 04 before it becomes whatever the next one is to the west.
You know, I've done some contesting where people down in San Diego want contact with our grid square, and what I'll actually do is go up to above the Gaviota Beach right there before the gates to Hollister Ranch, right along the edge of the cliffs, and beam down to San Diego. So that's, I don't know if that's the very extreme northwest edge before you fall into the ocean. I mean, of land, I guess I should say, or if you could go even further north.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna Google it. I'll see what he has a map on his website, and I'm not in front of my computer, so I don't have it in front of me. But I recall that it was like, I want to say where the 101 turns north was outside of the grid square.
No, it's inside, because I you know, when you go to above the Gaviota Beach, you're actually a little bit further north of that turn. You actually have to go across the beach and up to Hollister Ranch, which is north of that turn along the cliffs.
Oh, very close. Yeah, very close to the edge. Yeah.
Ken, didn't we one time try and figure out, like, if you went far enough west, up on, you know, by San Ynez Peak, that weren't we talking about this one time that the zone changes?
Yes, it runs pretty close to Diablo Peak on that line. And so you're into the next grid square. And that's the hard one to get.
But Brian, you're talking about San Ynez Peak, right?
Yeah, no, Sandy Inez Pete. There was
Yeah.
something that I was pretty sure it was you that we were trying to figure out one night on the net where it was because you needed to be in a one. I don't remember the whole thing. It was a few years ago.
Oh, you know what it was, Brian? I bet it was that DMO4 is broken into a whole bunch more smaller pieces.
Yeah.
And I bet we were talking about the next smaller chunk. DMO4. What are we in? DMO4.
Well, you're in a different one than me.
84 or something, or
I'm in DK.
Yeah, I'm in like they're the size of like parking areas inside the city. Like they're really small. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are you sure it's that small? Let me go look.
Yeah, and I just looked it up. It looks like maybe you went over to Hollister to get out of Delta Mike 04 into the next one.
Oh.
In Charlie Mike land.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Charlie Mike 95 or something.
Yeah. I think you went out of it to get out of Delta Mike, which would be like one of the least populated. You go from one of the most populated to one of the least populated grid squares.
Yeah, you're right. That's right.
Yeah.
Because there's like, and if you're in San Diego, there's a bunch of people. I guess is Lompoc part of that grid square?
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of people there. The problem is the hills are all in the way. So for anybody in San Diego, that's about the only place you can be to hit San Diego. So they get excited when somebody's there.
Yeah, that makes more sense because it would be there. Delta Mike 04 is huge, but Charlie Mike 0 whatever is tiny. It's got nobody in it. Yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of it's in the ocean, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, because I just remember
the Delta Mike 95 is below you, and then 94 is out to the west. There's nothing out there. Lompoc.
Interesting.
So
I
I'm
don't know, Brian. I don't know what we were thinking.
All right. Well, I guess that's about it for this month. We'll see what happens next month. Maybe we'll be able to find a place to have a meeting.
I have an announcement.
Okay.
There's a contest tomorrow, and it's called NAQP, the National. North American QSO Party, I think is what that stands for. It's kind of neat because it's one of these 10-hour ones, which are, I think, a little rare. Usually they're 48 hours, so they're pretty rough. But a 10-hour one's reasonable, I think. And the exchange is pretty basic. I can't remember what it is. I think it's a signal report and your name. And you can only do 100 watts, which is kind of cool too. So it really
levels a playing field.
Yeah, it does. There won't be any big guns out there swamping everybody out or getting all the calls. So it starts, I think, at 10. You have to look it up. Just type in NAQP 2023 rules ham radio. You might as well put ham radio because NAQP actually gets a lot of hits. But it starts, I think, at 10 tomorrow morning. It's a 12-hour contest. It goes till 10 at night. But if you're a single operator, you're only allowed to do 10 hours of it. If you're married, if it's two operators, if it's not a single operator, if it's two operators and you're switching back and forth, you can do the full 12 hours. But that's a whole different category. You get put into a different category if you do that. It's phone only tomorrow. The CW version was last weekend. It's on Saturday. Pretty much the same rules, same time frame, but phone is tomorrow. So just throw it out there if anybody's interested in. You don't have to do 10 hours. You can do 10 minutes, but it's fun.
We'll turn it on down at the shack. What is it? All bands or what?
Yeah, it's not work bands. It's like all contests. It's I think it's 10, 20, 40, 80, and I believe it includes 160. But basically everyone starts on 10, and as 10 dies, they move to 20, and if 20 dies, they move to 40, and all the way up as the day progresses. And there will be a little bit of overlap from band to band as people move from one to the next, depending on when they decide to do it. But that's generally the progression throughout the day. So, in the morning, put it on 10 meters. If there's no propagation, put it on 20.
I'll fire up the radios when I get there in the morning.
Ryan,
Yes.
what are the possibilities of using our Carpinteria facility for our club meeting location?
I'll talk to Levi about that. I don't know.
We're looking at what, 25 people max that show up at our club meetings? Shouldn't be any problem.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to give that some thought and talk about it.
Okay.
But thanks for the idea. I like the idea of the library better. We'll have to look into that. We'll look into that. Anybody, if anybody has any ideas for meeting places, be sure and let me know, or check it out yourself and tell them we're looking for a place to meet. And we typically have anywhere from, could be 15 to 40. Some election nights have been 40, 45 people show up. During the rest of the year, I've seen them as small as 10 or 11, and average probably 20 to 30, somewhere in there.
What's the max we can get in Carpinteria?
I don't know. I don't know. I hadn't considered that at all. So we'll have to think about that one.
There isn't really a meeting room there, is there?
Not really.
And that's kind of far to go too. If the library is really available, that's a heck of a lot closer for the majority of the people.
One thing I'd be concerned about is a lot of people that do attend the meetings are in Goleta, and to Carpinteria is a good 25 minutes.
Oh, 2 ways.
For me, it's about the same either way, so I don't care. But for the people in Goleta, it's that's why we don't get a lot of people from Carpinteria and Ventura at our regular meetings, because they don't want to drive that far. But if the Goleta people didn't come, I'm wondering how many people would actually be in Carpinteria. It might be 1 or 2. And I don't know. I have to give that some thought. But
you should look at the club roster and you can see it.
Yeah.
Active people down there who come to our club meetings.
Yeah.
Get in touch with them, see, what do they think of it.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope everybody has a good weekend.
Hey, Brian.
And we'll do this we'll do it down at the club station at 9 a.m. in the morning. So anybody wants to come by, please do.
Brian, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Gene. So it looks like you guys are kind of interested in weather with the weather stations and stuff.
Uh-huh.
I do some work down here, amateur radio work down in San Diego with these weather zones. Ever hear of the weather zones? They send them up twice a day to collect weather data.
Oh,
high
yeah.
altitude weather balloons, basically.
Yeah.
And so across the country, stations launch these weather zones twice a day. We have one here at Miramar Air Station, and there's probably somewhere around Santa Barbara where they're launching these zones too. They're small little devices. They work on AA batteries, and it's kind of a kick. A group here in San Diego goes out and chases these things. So as the Weather Service launches them, they land out in the desert, they land out in different spots here in San Diego. And across the country, you can actually go Google ham radio weather zones. And so there's a special ham radio build that is available that to reflash these zones and send them back up on the ham bands. And so I've been very active with this firmware. I've actually come up with a firmware version of my own that adds a camera to the weather zones. So if you guys are interested in hearing about, I did a presentation at Pacificon this year on the weather zones. If you guys are interested in that slide presentation, I can do it for you.
Oh, that'd be great. Can you shoot me an email?
Yeah, I'll send you the presentation.
Okay, and yeah, I'd love to do something like that. That kind of thing is that's interesting. The easiest way, just remember president@sbarc.org and I'll get it.
President at SBARC, I can remember that one. All
Yeah.
right, cool. I'll send it to
Okay.
you. And if you want me to do it like maybe next month or something, be at your leisure.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah. I'm sure everybody'd be interested in that.
Okay.
Everybody's kind of a weather nut anyway. We have a whole net devoted to,
Well, these weather zones are amazing devices. They have two, not just one, but two ARM processors on there. They have a very, very capable U-Blocks GPS. They've got a Silicon Labs SI4032 RF deck on there. It's all set up. It has a very expensive pressure sensor, and they send two of these pieces of hardware up a day. They come floating back to Earth.
and if you find them, you own them.
Yeah, in fact, you've got a little here. Let me show you what it looks like. You want to see what one looks like?
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. Just hang on for a second.
I don't want to see it.
Daryl, are you
Close
getting
your eyes,
cold?
Daryl.
So this is what it looks like. Can you folks see that? Let me turn the background off. Hold on.
Your background's taking it out.
Let me get my
Yeah, you might shut off your green screen stuff, and otherwise
exactly.
it's
That's what I'm doing right now. Blur background. There we go. All right, let's see if we can get that.
Turn the blur off.
yeah, turn the blur off too. 'Cause
I thought I turned the blur off. Excuse me.
There
How's
you
that?
go.
There.
That's good.
So all it says is harmless weather device. Throw in the trash can, basically.
Really?
Harmless weather instrument. Dispose of.
Huh.
Is not dangerous. So two of these come to ground every day, and this one is already fitted with a camera. So I've already modified this, put a camera inside. We're going to send one of these up on Sunday with a high school here in San Diego, Carmel Valley. And if there's a website that I have up, I'll share my screen here for a second so you guys can see. So I built this website. Wait, it's not sharing. Oh, can I share?
Yeah.
I'm sharing right now. Okay. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is where you would go to receive this data coming off the ham radio build, and it'll track Google Maps, APRS, and then images. And here's some test images. Here's some images of the last flight. Here. It's coming out of a weather zone, a recovered weather zone, sending back pictures. So this is from the high school that we launched from. We've got some pretty decent shots. That's Black Mountain. We've got shots of all over San Diego and out into the ocean. So the last flight we did, which was the one before these pictures, we made them. We filled them up with the absolute least amount of hydrogen. We use hydrogen, a lot less expensive. We take the safety precautions and everything. We got this one. Last zone landed just east of Phoenix.
Holy cow.
So we've got stations now in Phoenix that are interested in tracking these zones with the camera on it. So I could talk about this. I won't have the presentation now, but if you guys are interested in looking at the inside of this thing and
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, well,
I like little things like that myself. I play around with a lot of the things that you mentioned, so that's
all
very
right, good.
That's
I'll send you the
cool. Yeah.
presentation and we'll get on your
Hey,
calendar.
Gene,
Yeah.
how high do they typically go?
The Weather Service gets them up to around 50,000 feet. You know, they're interested in weather data that's in for the planes, right? And also the 10-day weather forecast comes from these weather zones. The hams, we get these things up to nearly 100,000 feet. They run on AA batteries. It takes a very light load of hydrogen to get them going. So they're very inexpensive, and it's a great hiking adventure. There's a bunch of hikers here in San Diego that all they do is go out and get these things. We've got like 50 in a box already. It's like it's this geo nugget out there. They just love go getting them. And so that could be so. It'd be interesting to know if, like, Point Magoo and all these other stations are sending these things up too. I know when Vandenberg launches, they send a flurry of these things up to get weather data.
Interesting.
We got to find out where they go.
Well, you could track them. So on SoundHub, I'll send you the. I can send you the link. You track them. It's the GPS data that comes from these weather zones. The Weather Service OEM build, I call it. They're at a frequency of like 402 megahertz. So interested parties, there's a ton of how-tos, how to set up a receiving station to receive these zones. Just look it up. You'd be surprised how much is out there on these weather zones, both the OEM version and then the ham radio firmware version. But it's just all this hardware is just twice a day across the country. We spend a lot of money launching these things, and they come down there for free. I mean, 2 ARM processors, a U-Blox GPS. We're talking like $300 worth of hardware just sitting there for the taking, and all the engineering that went into it. So we get them for free, except for the gas money. And so it used to be the group here in San Diego, we would build our own payloads. To be, hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of equipment going into these payloads. We were Raspberry Pi based. And it was, we had to pick a specific day so it wouldn't blow out into the ocean. It would actually go inland out to the desert. But then there's this thing called the Salton Sea in back of us. We hit that thing so many times. I mean, it seems like it would just like, we would make sure we're not going to land there. And what do? Splash down. We actually have video of one of these payloads splashing down, and then wildlife, geese coming up to it, start pecking at it while it was floating. I've also taken kayaks out to the Salton Sea and recover some of these payloads. But if we don't get them back, it's woe is me. There goes $300-400 worth of stuff: batteries, cameras, Raspberry Pis. And so these weather zones, we send them up, and if we don't get them back, it's okay, because we got 50 more in a box. So it's really good for educational use.
Also, I'm heartened to hear you use hydrogen instead of helium. Helium's like a non-renewable resource, and
yeah, hydrogen.
Much better.
If we launch with a large amount of students, sometimes we'll have small gatherings and sometimes we'll have large gatherings. And so if there's a large gathering where we feel like we don't have a lot of good, crowd control and stuff, then we will use helium. But if it's a nice group of 10 or so students and we can make sure everybody uses the safety rules and stuff, we launch with hydrogen, no problem.
Would you say that transmitter frequency was?
It's about 402. So look up, let's see, weather zone SDRs.
Weather zones.
Weather zones, SONDE. And you could use a very cheap RTL SDR to receive these things. Here's one: chasing weather balloons. I'll just send you this link. There's plenty of others. I'll put it in the group chat. There's more of these links available, the how-tos, how to set them up and stuff. But so the group here in San Diego, you could receive these weather zones just on a regular old disc cone. It's amazing. They only put out like -16, which is, below a milliwatt. And you could hear them clearly just on a disc cone antenna. I use a regular 5/8 and 2-meter antenna here at the house. I hear them all the time. So guys are hearing them in their car too. So it's amazing how much how far a little bit of power will go. And look at the antenna. It's just a small little, that's the antenna right there. Just a small little thing.
If you had a small handheld Yagi antenna, you could sense exactly the direction of it.
Well, sure you can, but the GPS will tell you. So there's websites that'll post this stuff for you. You can actually see the weather data. I think it's Sound Hub. I'll put another link in there. I think it's soundhub.com. Sound Hub.
How much is the camera you're adding to it? What does that cost?
$21. Buy them off of eBay.
And what else were you adding besides the camera?
I added just the camera.
Oh, but no. What about the? Oh, you're transmitting. It already has the radio. Okay.
Well, yeah, they're transmitting. So the National Weather Service is transmitting on 402 megahertz, and then my build, I play with the synthesizer and I bring it up to the ham bands.
Okay.
So here is a link to Sound Hub where you can see all these neat guys coming down. It's very busy. It's very busy. There it is in the group chat.
Thanks for that. Interesting.
I got it, when I first found out about it, there was a high school kid living next to one of the ham radio operators here in San Diego. He was a weather fanatic, and he started chasing these things, and he told some hams here in San Diego. Then we got excited about it, and then it's just taken off from there. So I'll share my screen. You can see what is going on here. Screen share. Okay, back to here. So here is the Sound Hub. So there's a plethora of people flying these things. There's one there right now.
It looks like there might be even more in Europe. Europe's jammed packed with them.
Oh yeah, here. This is a live one right now. 405.3 megahertz, and you can see its path where it's going. So that's a National Weather Service one. Date and time 0320. Yeah, 8:30. Oh, there's the 8:30 launch. Okay, so you can see what's going on. You see the pressure, temperature. There's humidity.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I said. Wow. And then when I started, I'm a software engineer by trade, so I said I'm gonna start playing with this stuff. So I built my own firmware build and put a camera on it. And I don't know, the high school kids just think that's the coolest thing. They actually see pictures from the radio zone, and also you get all the data coming back too. So it's president at Santa Barbara Amateur Radio Club.org.
SBARC.
SBARC.
SBARC.org.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll make a good presentation. Don't spoil it all. Don't.
Oh, we could honestly, when I did the presentation at PacificCon, we went over, and it was supposed to be 45 minutes. It lasted an hour and 15 minutes. So there'll be plenty of questions, I believe, and it's a fun technical exchange. All right, so I'll let go of the share.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I'll look forward to that. That's going to be that'll be interesting. I never knew about this stuff. I'm going to be poking into those websites. I mean,
yeah, it's addictive, let me tell you, and especially when you find that there's zones within like 5 or 10 miles. People start chasing them. So in San Diego, we were able to get onto Mount Otay. We were able to get on a mountaintop near Palm Springs. That's our main receiving station right now. Toro Peak. And they've built homebrewed some 5/8 over 5/8 antennas for mountaintop stability. And they also put preamplifiers up there. We're able to hear these things all the way to the ground. When they're on the ground transmitting, we're able to hear them. So we know exactly the GPS coordinates. And they got a little spreadsheet and they'll go out there and get them. They'll all get 7 at a time.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you, Gene.
Yep.
Yeah, well, you'll definitely be hearing from me in the next week or two about this.
Okay, I'm setting the presentation now.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we better get out of here. It's about 9:30, so thanks everybody for coming. Drive carefully on your way home. And we will see what happens next month. So 73, everybody.
All right.
Yeah.
7-3.
73s.
Tommy should look great.
Thanks.